Okay, everybody, welcome back to our third session of the day. Design, technology, and storytelling fusion, the future of Saudi entertainment. And allow me to introduce you to Ghassan and Lewis, who join us on stage for our panel. Just give them a big round of applause. Welcome. Thank you. So let me start by introducing Lewis, the Principal and Chief Creative Officer of Ravensun Creative, an award-winning entertainment consulting and design firm. Working globally since 2012, Lewis has guided a diverse range of clients in creation of world-class destinations, including Evergrande Group, Hershey Park, Carnival Cruises, Dalian Wonder, and so much more. And in his role of brand strategy and IP development consultant, he's represented clients including Ubisoft, Lamborghini, and many others. And he did say if I gave a great introduction, I could have one of those Lamborghinis. And secondly, let me welcome Ghassan. Ghassan is the Chief Operating Officer of Trampo Extreme. He's renowned for his visionary leadership in the active play, leisure, and entertainment industries, celebrated for spearheading transformative active play, which we'll find a little bit more about as we talk to him. And his efforts have earned him many accolades, including the prestigious Gulf News 50 MENA Business Leader in 2023. So congratulations, Ghassan, and welcome to them both.
Thank you.
So, as we talk about design, storytelling, and let me just jump straight in there. What are the emerging trends? What does the intersection of design and technology and storytelling look like in the Saudi entertainment industry? And let me ask Lewis first.
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to remember that we're in the business of memory creation. And really what we're doing today about differentiating the market and what we're doing about building this emerging space is about understanding how to leverage that to create new and exciting memories that differentiate this space from the rest of the world, you know. So I think some of the things that we have right now, we're at the opportunity, the first time in this industry and in the world, is for multi-branching, non-linear storytelling on a personalized level, where we're at this moment where technology between AI, game engines, and the infrastructure that we have available allows us to create a unique story for each person that's personalized and unique to each element of what they're doing in each decision they make. That's going to create something really unique coming forward in the future. So that's to me one of the most exciting things that's happening, and we're right at the beginning of that opportunity.
And Ghassan, what does that look like for Trampo Extreme?
Well, for us, it's very interesting in the sense that we are always looking for the right story to tell, and now we can tell the Saudi story using all available technology and looking with a vision to the future. And what we want to do is tell the story of Saudi not only for the Saudi consumer, but to the international consumer, and make it a selling point for the vision of transforming Saudi into a destination.
That's awesome, and you've had that experience all over the Middle East. Do you think that resonates into Saudi?
Well, we just have to look around. You know, yes, certainly it resonates for sure. But you know, I think the success will be how much of a Saudi element would stay in the story. You know, and I think now we are at a level where the technology can enable us to keep this cultural element in the story. That it has to be there, you know.
Awesome.
To add to that point, you know, there aren't many places in the world that haven't had vast exploration. There are only a few emerging markets left. And so one of the things that's really compelling is that this is a story that hasn't been told before. This is a new story, and that creates a lot of curiosity and interest in people. And what's fascinating is in an emerging market to have that ability to bring that to the world and tell that story with all these new tools is really a remarkable opportunity that very few people ever have.
And we've got two great professionals here from two different walks as operators and designers, and experience across both. So let me ask about the collaborative effort. How does that come together between designers, between operators, between technologists, between storytellers? How do you make that work?
Well, I think it's a multifaceted question. On a day-to-day functional perspective, you really have to build a team that's well balanced. You need designers, operators, technical people, architects, draftspeople, and all of the business component to ensure the success of the project and its ability to flourish. You know, don't let one group run wild without being in balance overall. You have to think about the product that you're delivering as a complete ecosystem in terms of what you're delivering. In terms of how do you deliver that holistically, is understanding the nature of a destination that you're delivering, looking at that as well as an ecosystem, creating an anchor, a driver to that component, and then all of the ancillary elements that operate around that, including infrastructure, what you're doing with food and beverage, how you're operating that green space, all of the above in a holistic perspective.
Yeah. I mean, certainly from an operator point of view, we feel that it is very important to push to push concept developers and designers to the limit of the available technology. Otherwise, you know, the technology will not go there. You know, I mean, there has to be a commercial element. You know, I mean, and once the concept developers realize that, okay, from an operator point of view, which we operate 100% commercial. We're not subsidized, we're not government owned, so we are very much aware of the bottom line. I mean, and I am our designers in-house and the agencies we work with, they are always aware of the importance of having, you know, an edge in delivering experiences, you know.
And let me take that question and let me build on it. And I think something we're always conscious of is Saudi culture and Saudi heritage, and building that unique Saudi brand into these attractions that we're designing, that we're operating, that we're storytelling. How do we do that? What's the simple answer? What's the easy answer?
Again, I think it's multifaceted. You know, there are so many elements to a culture. I've had the good fortune to work in 27 countries, you know, to date in my career, with a heavy focus on Asia throughout that time period. You know, there are so many elements to a culture that we take for granted, that we don't often think about interpreting globally. We think about food, family, environment, how people interact on a business and a family and a economic level. There are all of these opportunities to create an interwoven story at many levels of depth that we can explore, listen, and portray. And it was interesting when Travis on the last panel was talking, was about the importance of listening, not showing up and kind of projecting experience, either what you did in the US or England or in China as an example, is coming here and localizing, understanding and listening, and have the opportunity to reinterpret that in a new and exciting way.
You know, I think, I mean, adding to this, there is a certain malaise, or people are tired from globalization, and they are looking for unique experiences. I mean, I know from my kids, they are really eager to live specific experiences to the country, and if we can deliver this very rich cultural Saudi element in the experience, I think it will be a success. You know, I mean, storytelling is a cornerstone of societal development, and there is no reason that we cannot build on this in Saudi.
And let's talk about technology. How do we build technology, and how does that become part of the experience? How does it become fully integrated as opposed to just being an add-on that we use?
Well, I would say first and foremost, technology is a tool. You know, technology should not be the single driver of what the delivery is. You know, the hope is that what you're working with, the technology that you're doing, is cutting edge, can be reliable, and there's a challenge to that sometimes in doing a prototypical experience. The need from the bottom line perspective is it also has to operate flawlessly in that kind of test and adjust cycle. But what I'd say is technology has to serve the story. It has to serve the purpose of the brand, what you're doing. And it's very important from a branding standpoint that the technology that you select is consistent with the kind of demographic, what your brand is and what your market is. So you have to choose, in some ways, who are the right partners with which to develop that and to take a risk with, because if you want to be cutting edge now and you want to open a project in 2 years, you have to anticipate that the project needs to open, the technology needs to remain relevant at opening and exciting, and still be relevant another 3 or 5 years beyond that to make it sustainable from a business model standpoint.
For sure, technology is evolving. I mean, today we do not have the technology yet to deliver fully immersive, seamless virtual experiences. But there is no doubt in our mind that this is where we're heading, and from an interface point of view between the technology platforms and the client, it's still the bug. Like these Oculus headsets that clients are using for virtual experiences. Eventually, we need to look at development that companies like Neuralink is doing, but Neuralink is so far working on invasive implants. What we need to look at is non-invasive interfaces that you can tap into your consciousness directly, and it's only a matter of time before we get there. I mean, the commercial spin-off is in the trillions of dollars.
So great insight so far and great advice, but let me ask you now about challenges. What are the challenges in this market? What are the challenges from designers, from operators, and integrating these kind of things? What's tough? I think I asked the panel this morning, what keeps you awake at night? But let me ask you the same. What's the challenge? What's tough?
Well, I'd say first and foremost is the challenge to the scale of growth at the rapid speed. Having participated in Dubai, having participated in China, and to a lesser degree Vietnam, that's gone through a shorter cycle. Some of the challenges are in this build it and they will come approach to a business model, that there is a lot of energy and talk and enthusiasm launching the market. There's a lot of news that's built around it. And then when the first wave of projects open and attendance is not what's been projected in some of these unrealistic feasibility models, there's an instinct to retract rapidly, not to continue growth, not to continue investment. And then that hurts the market overall. It hurts the nature of building your employee base, building your intellectual capital, building your reserve to continue that market. So my concern in the short term is that after the first wave of projects open, it's going to take a lot of vision and concerted effort to continue the wave, because it's going to fall short of the initial numbers. It's just the nature of what we have. Then the second part of it will be how to get that engine running again for the second wave of development, to do that, to not lose enthusiasm in the market, not lose enthusiasm in the nature of the public, not lose enthusiasm in the nature of who you're trying to cultivate as employees, to see this as a valuable market to participate in, to want to engage, to continue that growth in the long term.
As operators, I think our biggest challenge is to deliver a fair and balanced amount of feel-good hormones to our clients, and these are, dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol. And what we have seen is that with the repeat of visits, the levels comes down, and what we have to do to keep the level of happiness and feel good high, we have to deliver the unexpected. And this is the hardest challenge, how to deliver the unexpected. And this is what keeps me awake at night.
And let's think about the global stage and how that's influenced what's happening here. How do you think global stage, global trends, global influences are coming together into Saudi Arabia, and how can Saudi Arabia contribute and use those trends that are coming?
Well, I think what's really exciting at the moment about Saudi Arabia is that there's a vision beyond tallest, biggest, fastest. Now, I know at Six Flags,
Well, unless you're building a roller coaster.
you are building the tallest, biggest, and fastest. But the conversations that I've been fortunate to have in the last year are about how do we do something that's never been done. When you talk with the team at NEOM, it's about how do we do something that's truly earth-shattering. How do we push beyond this to establish a new vision? Like, we don't necessarily know what that is, but what's exciting is many markets are very kind of, let's do laundry detergent and one new thing. And what you have happening here right now is there's a thirst to go to the next level. And already, as the last panel spoke about, and your team is aware of, you've captured the imagination of the planet with what you're doing. And now it's a question of taking that one step further to kind of leveling that bar up, and that really inspires everybody. You know, that's a challenge to all the other markets to raise their game, and so I think that's exciting. And then to the point of telling the Saudi story, the ability to communicate the nation and the people and the culture while you have that imagination captured is a really powerful way to arrive on the world stage, to share that culture with the world and get people passionate about it.
You know, I'm gonna digress a little bit here. You know, what I would like to see in Saudi is delivering the unexpected regularly, but a new delivery of unexpected. I would like to see VR experiences where the storyline is not set, where it is coded in real life by artificial intelligence. So even the operator wouldn't know what the story is going to be. So with so with the client, and if we can find technology partners that can do this, I think this will be the biggest possible contribution. Of course, it's going to create big dilemmas in terms of letting AI do real, creative work, and we don't know how much it can actually do this type of creative work. But this is something that I would like to see on a personal level, and I'm sure a lot of people would be very excited by this experience. You know.
Excited and terrified, I think, is my take. What about as we prepare this? It's a young market, it's developing. What should educational institutions be doing in Saudi Arabia, and how should we be educating the young market to come into this and to be able to develop this?
I think first and foremost is creative problem solving. I think really a lot of the education that exists in the world at the moment is kind of repetitive. You know, it's built on a fundamental of learn it, take a test, and be done. The opportunity here is to kind of really create a new kind of creative problem solving. With that, to the point what Ghassan said, you know, AI is coming. You know, we know that this is an opportunity, a learning market, and a future technological arms race that many people will enter, businesses and countries. I would say on a more molecular level, from a skills-based, learning game engines, learning Unreal, learning data analytics, to be able to take this creative information, analyze it, and understand how to synthesize it in useful ways. You know, data is great, but if you don't really have a way to functionally extract information and use it, it doesn't do you a lot of value. With all the data that we have right now and that's available, the ability to kind of teach people how to extract that and to utilize that is an incredibly valuable tool set that the educators can use going forward.
You know, for sure, Saudi is a very young in age community, and I think that there is a need to not only identify the story that needs to be told. This is very important, but also they need to build in-house the know-how, how to tell the story and how to deliver it even from a technology point of view. I mean, there is no reason why the technology delivery cannot be done locally. It will take maybe a generation, but it will be time and money well spent on building this know-how through transfer of technology and through building the appropriate educational programs at the school levels and at the university level.
And I think one aspect that's really important we touch on is sustainability. This is a really important word in today's world, and ever more for operators, but for designers, and that's come in the design brief. So how do we incorporate those sustainable practices into today's entertainment industry, and then how do we continue to operate with those practices?
Well, that's a big question these days. You know, it's interesting, just even in terms of when you think about the conference, you know, us flying all over the planet to come do this event, our carbon footprint in our industry is a challenge. You know, so it's really, again, thinking holistically as an ecosystem, how do we effectively learn from a power consumption usability standpoint? How can we minimize our impact on our footprint? How can we repurpose and reuse elements more effectively? You know, we have a heavy dependence in our industry on kind of single-use material. How can we begin changing that philosophy, you know, and culturally to do that? You know, I think we've made strides from a architectural standpoint, you know, with insulation and power systems, but we need to do better. We need to minimize our impact on water systems, power systems. And then there is this question to what Ghassan meant, how do we begin to transition away from necessarily the mass scale travel to some degree that is driving these destinations to local opportunity where we're having a lower carbon footprint on the planet overall?
Of course, I mean, sustainability is a choice, and we have the authorities have to make this choice. I'm sorry to say it, but have to make this choice commercially interesting for operators. You know, as long as it's not done commercial. I mean, look at the transition to electrical vehicles or to less carbon emissions in Europe and in the rest of the world. It's just because, you know, the price of oil is so high that we saw this transition. So whenever it hits you at the pocket, this is where operators will become more inclined to move to sustainable modes of operation. Unfortunately now, you know, it's not, it's expensive, you know, from an operation point of view. But if it is more expensive not to be sustainable, then, you know, you go to sustainable solutions. Simple, you know.
And to that degree, to add to that, you know, renewables are something that we need to explore more. I mean, you think, obviously, you know, the GCC has benefited immensely from hydrocarbon fuels. But the GCC also has this amazing untapped resource in the sun that's not being leveraged as much as it could be. You know, the world is not moving away from gas anytime soon, but the opportunity to offset the growth that we have with the renewables and the immense resources that are available is a strong one that we can all leverage more.
And let me sort of wrap up because I want to make sure we leave enough time for some questions. Can you guys share your personal vision for Saudi entertainment, how that's going to evolve in design, technology, storytelling over the next 5 years? What does it look like from where you're sitting?
I think we're only seeing the beginning. You know, from my perspective, I think that the first wave of projects to open is going to be very exciting. It's going to capture the imagination of many. What I'm most excited about is withholding that vision supporting that vision and not seeing it get withheld initially is once these projects open, that's the foundation for the next step, to do something truly visionary that changes the paradigm. And that's what I'm really excited about is, you know, if the vision is able to be sustained beyond this, is taking this leap now is amazing. Where that next step can go is exciting and true possibility.
You know, I think now we're seeing a lot of development at a breathtaking pace. But there is no doubt in my mind that at some point in time, there's going to be a shakedown in the industry. And I hope that the GIA will not rescue operators, financially speaking, because if you want to keep a certain level of quality of service, then you have to know that your neck is at risk, and you're competing for this limited pie and this limited flow of dollars, of funds, you know?
That's going to be tough.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, guys. Let me go ahead and open up any questions to the audience. And I think we've got a mic if anybody's got any question that they want to ask Ghassan or Lewis.
Hello. Hi, I'm Alex. I work for a company called EngageWorks. We're quite successful in this part of the world already. We're designing some smaller experiences than you guys, but making it work. And this is a very personal question. Obviously, working in the kingdom has its challenges, but also it allows us to do projects we probably wouldn't be able to do anywhere else in the world. And my question is, what is your personal experience, all three of you, of client management? Now we have, I can't tell you what projects we're working on, but a couple of projects we're working on for big operators here want the world's best, of course, you know, right at the bleeding edge of technology, at the highest levels of creativity, but they want it in 6 weeks. How do we as a collective, you know, Saudis, non-Saudis alike, try and stem that flow a little bit to ensure that these projects are going to be world class rather than accepting second best to get things done in 6 weeks' time?
I didn't hear everything that you said, but I think to capture it is that there is an expectation of a high level of quality, but necessarily not supported by budget and schedule considerations.
It's rather than budget, it's more timings. So what's the sort of client management things that you put in place to ensure that you're working with your clients to give them the best that they can have, but not sort of saying to them, yes, okay, fine, we can get that done in 6 weeks? Because I think our feeling is quite a lot of people are saying that, yeah, that's possible, getting on the job, and effectively it's not possible, but they've just said yes to a client to get onto it.
Well, unfortunately, I think the situation is you have to let some people fail. You know, I think, as Ghassan was saying, with some operators after the opening, sometimes the lesson has to come in a difficult way. You know, I think there are some people who can perform at that level, at that speed, if they are of scale and they have a team, you know, functioning that way. We have faced that situation as a design and consulting entity in every market we've been in the world. You know, there are projects we have to walk away from because they're not appropriate for us, or we don't feel we can meet the expectation that's set forth. Sometimes those projects fail, and a year later the owner comes back and says, could you engage in a more realistic way? And sometimes you have to go through that process for the market to mature, to move on and deal with those situations.
One more question in the front.
Hi, it's more of a comment than a question, but I agree with my colleague behind me, and I also agree with you, Louis. But I feel massively that we as a collective should be helping to educate people to understand that a little bit more time would give everybody a much better experience. And sometimes we get asked to make films that can't even be rendered in the time it's wanted physically. So I do sympathize with what you're saying.
Well, I think the challenge you have, it's the nature of the business we're in. You know, some people want to make commitments that they're trying to grow their company, or they're trying to get their foot in the market, or they're not being realistic. You know, I mean, as a company that specializes in design, we compete against other people who offer design and fabrication, as an example. They'll give design away for free to capture the fabrication of the project. It's a business reality. You know, we're up against some people who make commitments that are difficult. I agree with you that our industry as a whole, like why we're all here committing our time and contributing our insight, is to share knowledge and to educate the audience and to work together to collaborate to make a positive difference. The challenge within the market itself is the nature of how some people seek business will remain challenging until enough events happen that make those business owners change their mind about their approach, or they get enough business that it doesn't happen. You know, it's tough in that way.
You know, as long as You know, as long as the money is flowing, we're gonna be running at this breath, you know, at this pace. When the money stops flowing, this is when the slowdown is gonna happen.
Or unless there's an accident.
And it's
somewhere
gonna
along
happen
the
very
line.
fast. Just remember Dubai 2007.
Thank you. And one last question at the back.
Thank you. Thanks. My name is Alan Goldwyn. I'm from Grande, from Australia, Melbourne, Australia. I stuck around for this because what we do essentially is design, tech, and storytelling. What we do is we take age-old art like Da Vinci, Monet, Van Gogh, and bring it to life in a 3,000 square meter venue. And that's time consuming. It takes about 45 minutes for you to sit down and enjoy that experience. Now, and that's pretty good in the Western world, it's very mature, people love that kind of experiences. With Saudi traveling at breakneck speed and looking at all the fastest rides and the most mega water parks and stuff like that, what place does something like Grande have in this city? Are people still keen to listen to genuine storytelling, which is the story of Arabia, the story of anything that's the culture and art of Saudi Arabia? Is there still scope for something like that in this fast-paced industry?
You know, the speed, the breath, you know, the neck-breaking speed that we're running at presently is a story on its own. It's a story of a country, you know, rising from where it was to the, you know, to the 2030 vision that its leadership has placed. You know, this is a story on its own.
I think it's unquestionable that even as people tune into screens, that the speed information that people process has changed. There's still the opportunity to go out, tell a great story, have people receive it, have people be touched by it, and it changed the course of their lives. I wouldn't be doing what I do if I had kind of given hope on what storytelling was. I think the tools have changed, people's attention spans have changed, but when you do something that's really emotionally resonant, that's really powerful, that really touches people's emotion and unifies them and brings them together, we all want to still sit around the fire, we all still want to sit around the table together. We have to do a better job of creating those compelling moments to draw people out of the screen. And when we accomplish that, people respond to that, you know.
Thank you both, and I think that's us completely out of time. So please join me in saying thank you to both Louis and Ghassan with a great round of applause. And I ask you to stay for just 5 minutes. We'll be networking beyond borders, connecting local investors with international brands. Thank you.